So, why do you second guess yourself when you're under pressure? Have you ever been completely clear about something that you wanted to do and then pressure entered the situation? It's like you know what you want to do, then something happens, right? Somebody questions you. It was time to hit post, and you're like, I don't know. And you imagined maybe how someone would respond. Then all of a sudden, it's like, what if I'm wrong? Maybe I need to think about this some more. Or what are they going to think about me? Right. So, what if second guessing yourself, but isn't actually the thing that is the problem? Right. Because I think that you do know what it is that you want to do, but maybe there's something else that's going on when pressure hits. Hi, I'm Debbie Pearson, and today you're going to learn what might really be happening between knowing what you want to do and then actually being able to do it. So let me show you this real quick. You're clear about things. You know what you want to do. Pressure hits, and then you start second guessing yourself. It's like, what if, right? Maybe I shouldn't do that thing. Maybe I should do this other thing, right? Now, here you are 5 minutes ago being completely clear, knowing exactly what you want to do, and then something happened. Now, you didn't all of a sudden know less, right? You still knew everything. You didn't all of a sudden become less capable. You're still capable, but your thinking changes. And when that happens, you might interpret that as I'm indecisive, or I don't trust myself, or maybe I don't really know what I want, or else I wouldn't be feeling the way that I'm feeling. So what if we got curious about what was happening between clear and second guessing? And I don't just mean this pressure, I mean, what is going on and all throughout this process? Because these are the parts we know, but there's like gaps in between these that we have to learn more about. These are things that we've never been taught about before. So let's say that you are someone that has to speak in front of an audience for whatever reason, whatever kind. You're making a video, maybe you're at a networking event, maybe you've got to go on stage, right? So you've prepared, you know your material, you're good, and then all of a sudden it's time and your mind goes blank. You freeze, you second guess or start second guessing yourself. And it's like all of a sudden you've become exposed. Now, some people have a way to calm down in that moment, and that's great. If you have that and it works, go for it. Use that. But what if you don't? Or what if you wish that you didn't have to use that, right? So what if you could also understand what makes the discomfort happen in certain situations or certain moments in the first place? I mean, there's a big difference between standing there in front of people thinking, I have something that useful that I want to give them, right? And then standing there thinking, what are they thinking about me, right? And it becomes, am I doing this right? Do I look okay? Now my attention has shifted from the thing, the contribution, to the individual, the person. Instead of focusing on what I'm contributing, and I focus on me, I'm now starting to think about things like, am I being judged, right? Am I being ridiculed in their minds? Are they making fun of me? That's where I begin to feel exposed. That's where that feeling begins to happen. So it's a really big difference for when you're getting in front of people. Where is our concentration? On what we're contributing or what people are thinking about us? And here's the thing. I know that feelings are very real. Fear is real. Discomfort is real. Uncertainty is all very real. But the explanation that your mind gives you for why you're feeling that isn't automatically a fact. So I want to play a game called Fact, Feeling, or Story. And in this, we're going to decide, is this a fact, a feeling, or a story? All right? So let's say you post something, no one responded to your post, right? Nobody at all. Fact, feeling, or story? That's a fact, right? It's just a fact. Nobody responded to your story. Now you're having all these feelings, right? You're feeling maybe disappointed, rejected, embarrassed, frustrated, maybe afraid. Is that fact, feeling, or story? I think you guys know. Those are all feelings, of course, right? Then you start going, oh my gosh, nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Is that fact, feeling, or story? That, of course, is a story. It's a story that we make very real in our minds. But we don't actually know that no one wants to hear what we have to say. Uh-oh, my microphone, hold on. Okay, you might see a little green button. Sorry, you have to see the light. So nobody, where was I? It's not that nobody actually, we don't know that nobody wants to hear what we have to say, but it may feel that way, right? And that's a very important distinction, because when we become curious about what else might be happening, we have more possibilities than just the one story that our feelings might be leading us to believe. So stay with me, because this is where the protection part gets sneaky, right? So this is where a protective pattern might be showing up without you actually realizing that it's trying to protect you. So something feels uncomfortable, uncertain, or threatening. When that happens, protection starts getting louder, and it can influence our story that we're telling ourselves, and just make it more real. And here's where it could be a little bit confusing. A protection doesn't always sound like protection. Sometimes it sounds perfectly reasonable. So let's look at 3 examples. In the first example, there may be a thought, maybe I shouldn't post that. And the truth is, maybe you shouldn't. Or that might mean, if I don't put this out there, nobody can judge me or disagree with me or make me wrong, right? Here's example number 2. I better ask someone what they think. Now, maybe that's exactly what you need to do. Maybe you need to ask someone. Or maybe it's, I don't quite trust my decision, and getting someone else's approval might feel safer, right? The third one is, maybe I need to think about this a little bit longer. And then the truth is, maybe you do need to think about it a little bit longer. Maybe it's not quite ready, and that's cool. But maybe it's, as long as I'm thinking about it and considering it and massaging it, then I don't actually have to make a decision just yet. So that's what makes the patterns of protection just so hard to figure out, because there may be nothing wrong with the thought itself. Maybe I shouldn't post this. There may be nothing wrong with that. But what if there's something underneath that thought, and we want to get curious about that? So I'm not asking you that to assume that every hesitation is a protection, but I am asking you to start wondering, what's driving my thinking? What's driving this decision? What's driving the choice? Or it could be something like, okay, am I gathering information because I actually need information? Or am I afraid to make a decision, so I just think, oh, I must need more information? It's a big difference. So here's the distinction. If you're starting to, or I should say that is the distinction, noticing the difference between whether you are gathering information because you actually need more information, or are you gathering information because you're basically hesitating, right? Because there's something stopping you. So if you're starting to recognize this in yourself, I go deeper into what actually might be going underneath in my free workshop called What the Heck Just Happened? So I'll put the information in the description. So let me tell you about something that happened to me that may have also happened to you, especially coaches that are kind of starting out new, or maybe you've been doing it for a while and you did some shifting, right? So I had decided to market to a specific group of people. And I felt so good about this direction. It just felt right. I told people, like, this is it, right? It wasn't it, but this is it. So I created a course. I created the landing page. I found the perfect logo, blah, 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 blah. So everything was great. And I started posting and I started getting it out there. Posts, lives, workshops, the whole bit. And not crickets. It was so painful. There were no comments, no inquiries, nobody raised their hand, nothing saying you're going in the right direction. Everything saying you're a total screw up, right? And it was painful, right? Disheartening. I felt disappointment, embarrassed, and like a failure, right? So in come the thoughts. Well, maybe these aren't the right people for you. Maybe the messaging is wrong. Maybe nobody really wants what I'm offering, or maybe I just don't even know what I'm doing. So I want you to notice what happened in that shift. There was a fact, and the fact was I'm not getting responses, right? I wasn't getting a response. The feeling was disappointment, embarrassment, failure. And the story was something's wrong with me, I'm failing. Once I believed the story, of course, I wanted to do something to make the uncomfortable feeling go away. Now, it is possible that I actually did need to change my audience, or maybe I did need to rewrite my message or just scrap the whole dang thing, right? But here's the tricky part. Maybe my marketing really did need change. That's really possible. But I couldn't simply know that just because I felt a particular way, right? You can't make that jump and that connection. So the question became, do I actually have information telling me that I need to make the change? Or am I trying to change the direction because I want those feelings to go away? I don't want to feel them. So one of those is something I actually know, and the other one feels like something I know. I know it's challenging, but it's very doable, right? So how do I tell these two apart? So let me show you again this chart, right? This right here, pressure. Start by catching the moment when something shifts, right? You're clear in one moment, and then something happens, and then all of a sudden you're second guessing yourself, right? Now, pause right here. Before you immediately start changing your decision about what you've been doing, or try to fix something, or feel like you need to ask someone else what to do, or whatever it is you normally do, notice what you're feeling, not thinking, but what you're feeling in that moment. We'll get to the thinking part later, okay? Because remember, the feeling is real. Your feeling is just real. You feel what you feel. And it's what that feeling is leading you to believe. That's what I want us to get curious about, right? Second guessing doesn't automatically mean that you don't know. It doesn't automatically mean that your original decision was wrong. Sometimes something happens that creates pressure and a feeling showed up, and that feeling started changing the story. That's the moment I want you to notice, right? Right there, asking yourself, what's going on right here? Because that's the part that most of us miss. Most of us just feel like we immediately go to pressure, and then all of a sudden something happens. Overwhelmed, second guessing, feeling like something's missing. Like all this thinking goes on, but where's the feeling? Okay, so you're clear, something happens, now you're questioning yourself. So what happened that made me question something that I was so clear about a moment ago? Recognizing that moment doesn't mean you'll automatically know what to do next, but it does give you the place to start. And recognizing that it's happening, that's an important first step. But the next question is, what do you actually do in the moment before the reaction takes over? What's happening at that moment? And that's what we're going to be covering in next Tuesday's video, how to pause before you react. Okay. That's it for today. I'll see you next week.